Yo, what is going on, guys? More here, bringing guys a brand new Busch Gardens video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about why Busch Gardens is the most beautiful theme park in the world. This is actually based off a really cool video that YouTuber Offhand Disney made about the Disney parks, talking about kinetic energy in the parks. And I was just so enamored with that video because it's these things that add so much to the experience of going to the park, but you don't really think about it consciously unless you watch a video like that makes you really sit and resonate with it. It heavily applies to Busch Gardens, and I want to talk about why it applies to Busch Gardens very well, and why I believe it is the reason why Busch Gardens wins the record for most beautiful theme park in the world for 34, 35 years now. And before we jump into today's topic, my new single Mellow is out now wherever you listen to your music. The third single from my upcoming album Live Again, dropping later this summer. A lot of news about the album is going to be coming out very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this all, make sure to follow me on your preferred streaming service so you're ready when the album drops later this summer. So what do I mean by what makes Busch Gardens the world's most beautiful theme park? Is it the landscaping? That's a part of it. Is it the paintings and like the colors and everything? Well, that's a part of it. But what really sells it is the energy. So in Offhand Disney's video, he mentions kinetic energy, and one thing that Disney does really well is there's constantly things moving around the park, whether you have the music that transitions you from area to area, or the quartets that come out, the characters that are coming out, the rides that you see moving around you. The big thing is water. You know, they had the fountains around the castles typically. They had Tom Sawyer's Island at Disney World. I think it's closed now. Tom Sawyer's Island is closed there, but Disneyland have Tom Sawyer's Island and the Mark Twain boat, and they have the Rivers of America. Obviously, they have Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Water aspects that add kinetic energy. You go to Tomorrowland, you got the Astro Orbiter and Tron if you're in Disney World, and all the other parks have it too. Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are like the best examples of it, and that's why those parks are so addicting to go to. It truly feels like you're in this other world, and it engulfs you in the world, and it has an energy level to the park, not just because of all the people there and all things that are happening, but the park is constantly moving around you. So how does that apply to Busch Gardens? Busch Gardens does it really well, and we're also going to talk about why I think they can even improve, and not just by a little bit, by a lot. So the big thing is kinetic energy, and water is the #1 thing, because not only do we have obviously the Rhine River, the man-made river that they made for the park, which is amazing, but also you got Escape from Pompeii, you got Roman Rapids, you got the log flume, you got 3 things here all spread around the park that show kinetic energy. So the water rides, you know, basically in every corner of the park really adds a lot. And now Ireland does not have one, but they do have that fountain right outside the Castle O'Sullivan, between that and the Abbey Stone. But they had this big open area. We got Finnegan's Flyer. That's a moving ride that adds kinetic energy. And every area of the park has that, whether it's for Bolton, the Whirlwind, in Oktoberfest. In Scotland, you have Loch Ness Monster, the carousel, the horses. Animals are a big thing when it comes to kinetic energy. And then in France, you got Griffin. Invader, not so much, because Invader is kind of in its own little corner. But Griffin is a big piece of that to catapult. And obviously Festa Italia, Pantheon, Tempesto, Apollo Chariot. Honestly, Tempesto's biggest strength is that it adds that kinetic energy, not only when you're in the park, but also when you're outside of the park. It's something that you can always see happening with Apollo's Chariot there as well. And that's another thing where you are able to see Apollo's Chariot is waiting to go to the parking booths, right? The park's energy starts to grab you before you even get to your parking ticket, right? And that is what I love about the park. It engulfs you in the energy, the music, just like in Disney World. There's scents that are spread out around the park. You can smell the food, the fresh mulch, and the flowers. It is such a amazing sensory experience where you go to a park more like King's Dominion or these very commercialized parks. I don't know the right way to say it. They don't have a lot of this attention to detail because they're more just focused on getting you to the next ride. Where Busch Gardens, like Disney World, Universal, etc., are about engulfing you into the experience and really making you a part, and really making you feel like you're a part of this world that you are in for however long you're at the park. And the big thing too is the trinity of Busch Gardens, Alpengeist, Griffin, and Loch Ness Monster. Having that centerpiece of the park, which is so massive with those 3 coasters, is such an establishment of kinetic energy, because whether you're in Ireland, whether you're on the bridge that connects Germany to Scotland, or you're on the bridge connecting Italy to Oktoberfest, you see that trinity. and you can see there's constant movement, the people screaming, and just that roar of the tracks is something that you don't think about, but subconsciously keeps you moving throughout the park. And obviously the train going around, whenever you hear it and see it moving, that's another big addition as well. So rides like the roller coasters, the flat rides, and the train, they are great examples of that kinetic energy. But not only that, Busch Gardens creates an energy with the landscaping. Now, obviously, we have the beautiful flowers throughout the park, which obviously that's kind of like the whole shtick when they think about world's most beautiful theme park. Think of the colors of the roller coasters and all that, but really, you think about the landscaping, right, and the trees. When Disneyland was built, they had to build a berm, and that blocked off people's sight from the outside world, from Anaheim. You know, the street is right there. You don't think about it when you're in park. You think you're in this whole world. When you go ride Haunted Mansion, you're going under a road. Busch Gardens doesn't have to do that. But we are right beside I-64. We are right beside just the main road that cuts through Williamsburg. And so Busch Gardens does want to disconnect you from that as much as possible. We spoke a little bit about this in the King's Dominion video, but there are a couple times in the park where you can see the outside world. Of course, the polished chariot, you see the parking lots, you can see I-64, but you see a lot of tree line. That's one thing that they're blessed with in Williamsburg, is that there's a lot of tree lines that kind of block out the view. And then when you're on Griffin, yeah, you can see the river, you can see Anheuser-Busch, you see this beautiful lake. We really don't see a whole lot of other stuff. You might see this apartment complex over here, like the Kings Mill stuff, but other than that, you really don't see anything, right? And it all kind of fits into the world Busch Gardens is putting you in. And obviously seeing the Anheuser-Busch factory, it's all kind of all-encompassing because that was at one point an extension of the park. When you enter the park, you are now in the world of the park. It's not like you go, even to Busch Gardens Tampa, you can see a billboard from the street while you're walking around in the park. When you're in King's Dominion, you can see the road, you know, you can see 95. It doesn't really try to hide the rest of the world from you. I think with the Dominator being as close up to the front as it is, it doesn't give you that full-on immersion before you get to the rides, because it's like in the middle of like the International Street. But what Busch Gardens does is it doesn't throw you on a ride until you are well into the park. And sure, we had the service roads that cut through in the park that, you know, if you want to be really nitpicky, I would say they should do a better job of hiding those. But the truth is, not everything can be hidden. But there is this level of energy with the park surrounding you, with the natural landscape and the man-made landscape. Like I said, the Rhine River is man-made. So when, you know, you're going through France, the buildings do a really good job. It kind of, there's plenty of walk space, but what Busch Gardens does a good job at is building the facades up to where you really can't see over. Right? You really can't see other areas of the park. If you're in line for Verbolten or you're on Verbolten, that's the only way you're really going to see anything over in Festa Italia. You see a little bit of Pantheon from the Italy Bridge. You're moving from one country to another. That is the time where the park is kind of moving you over. And one thing Disney does really well is when you go into different lands, you don't see anything from a different land. And if you are going to see something from another land, they make it so it's disguised. Like you think about Epcot, you can see Tower of Terror, but it's blended in to go with, I believe, the Morocco area. So the back of it's painted a specific color so it blends in well. And that's why I think Busch Gardens wins World's Most Beautiful Theme Park, because it has this natural energy that it just encompasses you. They didn't have to build a berm. They just built into this forest, and then they built a river in the middle of it, which is a crazy idea when you really think about it. Like, you built a man-made river. Then you have the hills, the natural landscape. They didn't try to make it flat. They said, no, we're going to make you walk in this landscape. You're engulfed in the natural world, especially if you're going in the wild reserve area. You are engulfed in the trees, the natural beauty. Busch Gardens really isn't built up in that area. It's just the pathway, and you pretty much walk through the habitats, and I love that area. And one thing too, to keep your eyes always focused on what they want you to see, it's a lot of bright colors. Obviously, over the years, they have brightened the colors in a lot of areas. They brightened some of the colors in England. I think famously, most recently, they repainted Germany into these bright colors. They repainted Oktoberfest back early 2010s. They did these things so they can draw your eyes where they want you to go. Obviously, sometimes to places that, you know, you have to buy stuff because at the end of the day, capitalism. They tell a story with the colors. It's just nothing by mistake that they just got brighter colors. It wasn't just because they're like, man, we should make it brighter. It's like, no, we want people to go to, you know, the pretzel shop, or we want people to go into this Christmas store, or we want to draw people's eyes to Bergmeister's Hideaway. Everything is done with a purpose, and it creates this energy of happiness and excitement that's supposed to just kind of raise the energy inside of you to make you just feel happier. Because if it was all like dull colors, it really wouldn't raise that inside you. You think about the roller coaster colors. All these colors are great, like especially Festa Italia with the purple and yellow of Apollo's Chariot, the orange and green of Tempesto, the beautiful blues that is Alpengeist and Griffin, and then Loch Ness being a beautiful yellow track. Just those colors in themselves are telling a story throughout the park and are capturing your mind. So why is Busch Gardens the world's most beautiful theme park? Because it is telling a story and it is also moving you with energy, this kinetic energy. I said at the beginning of this video, there are ways they can improve. What is that? They used to have character actors in the park, and one thing I mentioned about Disney is they have a lot of characters walking around in costume. Busch Gardens can do the same thing. They have done the same thing. They did it on the 50th anniversary where they had some of the Three Musketeers and all these characters out in England. I would say if they have any chance that they are able to do that, they should do it because it creates a natural storytelling energy. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult, when you have these interactive experiences, it just heightens the experience, not just for you, but for everyone around you. You know, kids walking by, even if they don't speak directly to the actor, they are enamored by this character that is not of the world that they are used to. And that is what creates that experience even better for the park. I think more water rides for the park, and I think, you know, they're going to be adding some stuff in the near future in certain areas, not necessarily water rides, but moving rides that's going to keep the energy of the park going even better. You know, maybe a Le Mans Raceway return, maybe another water ride in the future. We know that was tossed up in the AI concepts in the surveys. So I think they do realize that there needs to be more kinetic energy. Italy lost a lot of that energy with the loss of the flying machine, and Da Vinci still has it with the battering ram and the kiddie rides, but it's not like it once was. It really keeps people moving as you're going from Pompeii past Festa Italia and into Italy, because Italy is a very static area. There's not a whole lot of movement in Italy, so they need something to kind of give you something between Pompeii and Oktoberfest. And I think they need to add something too on the way to Big Bad Wolf, because there needs to be some type of energy to draw you back there. I think that's one of the things that's lacking. Not only can you not really see it, there's not necessarily something drawing you back there, whether it's the landscaping, the sounds, the smells, nothing is really drawing back there. There's a few props here and there. There's nothing really alerting the senses to go back there unless you know it's back there. There's something they need to improve there. But all in all, it is beautiful, and that is why it is the world's most beautiful theme park, because it has great storytelling in the nature, the colors, the rides, the water. Everything blends together to create this experience that some people take for granted. But if you go to the park over and over again, people are like, is it easy for you to go to Busch Gardens so many times, but you know, you go to Kings Dominion once and you feel like you're good? He's like, well, I love Busch Gardens because it always feels like I'm engulfed into this world. I separate from the real world, and I get to kind of just live stress-free for however long I'm there. And that's why I think they have achieved such a level of being the world's most beautiful theme parks, because it's accessible. Everything is accessible. Everything is beautiful. You can traverse the whole park in a day. It just moves. It moves with you. And that's what I love about Busch Gardens. So what do you think about this video? Did you enjoy? What are your thoughts about the kinetic energy of the park? It was kind of a nerdy episode, but it's those kinds of episodes that I really love to make. So let me know what you guys thought down below. And thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And like this video if you enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts on today's video. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that bell button down below so notified every single time I put a brand new video to the channel. Make sure to go check out my new single, Mellow, from my new album, Live Again, wherever you listen to your music. And if you enjoy that song, make sure to follow me on your preferred streaming service so you're ready when the album drops later this summer. And go check out the Patreon, a bunch of extended Busch Gardens vlogs, early access to new music, behind the scenes content. So go check that out. Helps keep this ship sailing. And my name is Will Morrison. I'm out. Peace.
I'm just mellow, living life at my tempo. I just be riding with the flow, the only way that I know. I'm just mellow.